Hey traders, Jason with Day Trading Fearless. In this video, I'm just going to talk about why so many traders fail at day trading, even swing trading, the overall stock market, futures. I'll even throw crypto in there now, Forex markets and things like that. So hopefully you guys will find this video educational. Just kind of sit back, listen, and hopefully some of these points that I'm going to talk about will really help you guys in your own trading. That's kind of the ultimate goal, right? All my videos that I do is to help you guys. People have helped me along my journey, and I now want to kind of help other people. Back when I was trading, started trading back in, what was it, about 2002, there was no YouTube. There was no TV, shows to watch about trading. There was nothing. There were books you could go read. I remember I would go to Barnes & Noble and just read books and then read magazines about trading and try and figure all this out. Even back then you had Thinkorswim that was just starting out. And I remember I was living here in Vegas back then. And what happened was Tom and Don Kaufman, all the guys, they're now with Tasty Works and Tasty Trade. They would come out to the Money Show a couple of times a year, and I'd go to the Money Show. And they started to come to Vegas, schedule weekend events, literally a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, full weekend for free. And I thought that was awesome. And kind of like when they were teaching us, they still do exactly what they were teaching us all the way back then. It just was so hard for me personally to wrap my head around and kind of really understand it. Now, 20 some odd years later, I get it. Okay. But I think the rise of YouTube and all the information, watching Tasty Trade live for years when they first started, that was kind of like where I start to really go, oh, I get it now, right? Kind of like the light bulb went off, because I was able to see it visually and rewatch the shows and just really understand it. But the only other training back then too was when we had and people would charge like 25 grand. I think it was before they merged with TD or Thinkorswim. It was Invest Tools. It was an educational company that I believe Thinkorswim eventually bought. They were trying to charge like 25 grand for a 3-day weekend seminar. I'm like, I don't have that type of money back then to blow. And also going to these events, and they would do these personal events. There'd be maybe 20 people in the classroom for the weekend. It was so much information. I knew for 25 grand, I ain't going to remember all whatever they're talking about, right? So now I think traders have it a lot easier. The learning curve is definitely picked up. What took me years, I think you could go binge watch, a couple weeks worth of videos and kind of be where it took me 2 or 3 years. Now, where I think I really succeeded was just watching. I'd wake up at 5 a.m. and go down to the local coffee shop, and I'd sit there until 2 p.m. And just watch the markets, watch price action, and start to see patterns and keep reading books and all that. And then I'd go home, and then because I was trading futures too, I'd go home and, or kind of watching them, I go watch even more price action till 10 o'clock at night sometimes. But going back to what this whole thing is about is, why do traders fail? Well, 'cause they don't put the time in. They don't put the work in. I think we're living in a day where everybody wants instant gratification. People think they can watch a couple videos and know everything. This is it. I know absolutely everything now. And they go in and they trade way too big, and then they blow up their accounts. I would say it's, you have to put the time in. You really need to be patient and just put the time in to understanding, watching the charts, learning the patterns. If I could tell you guys, if I could start all over, I would learn a couple strategies, right? 2 or 3 strategies that kind of work essentially in all markets, because the markets are always changing. I would say focus on those. And yeah, you might take some trades, and 1 week you might have a couple of trades that don't work. Well, guess what? This is part of trading, right? You're not always going to win. And I believe you need to really, really understand that, and just say, hey, how do I get this strategy to keep getting better and better? I still do that. In my video course, I offered 7 hours worth of content, right? I'm charging $100. Dude, trust me, I've had so many people tell me I charge way too little. People aren't going to buy it because it's too cheap, things like that. And my look is, I try and give really good value. You see my videos. I'm really cautious of the techniques I do. Or I'm not saying here, saying, hey, you're going to make $100,000 per trade, right? Because most traders cannot trade that much. Okay. First off, your bankroll, your account size isn't big enough to be able to do that. Also, that is not realistic. So kind of going back to my video course, I've been doing these strategies for probably 15 years almost. But over time, I've just, what works, what doesn't, how do I keep getting these better, right? The first thing is the waterfall, right? That I teach you guys. Waterfall is just pure price action, of the candles. It's just kind of, are we bullish or bearish? If you look at the chart, okay, you could see we're bullish, right? We're in a reverse waterfall where we're making higher lows, right? We're bearish when we're making lower highs. It's just like stairs, right? There's more to it. But that's kind of just the first thing, right? And then I talk about my divergence, right? And I've taught the divergence to hundreds, maybe even thousands of people throughout the years. And it's kind of like, it takes time. You're not going to learn and see everything because there are so many nuances, right? And it's just sitting in front of the computer hour after hour. But when you love it and you enjoy this and you really understand, you'll be like, okay, I get it. The market, I want to see this, not this. I want to see a divergence when candles are doing this, but not this. There are all these different things. And when you take the waterfall with the divergence, it becomes very powerful, right? And then I talk about Fibonacci. So when there's not divergence, you could trade the Fibonacci's, right? So it kind of keeps you really active. My trade zones, I love drawing trade zones that, hey, when there's a divergence in a trade zone, that becomes even more powerful, right? Gives me an edge. It's like I'm trying to find what's the most edge I can have, right, in a trade. So what happens is most people fail because they don't want to put the time in. They think this is easy. I've watched so many YouTubers ever since like 2020 come out of the woodworks, right? And they're talking about how they're a professional and they're like 21 years old. I go, dude, you've been trading this market for a year, right? Now, I get it. Go binge watch a bunch of videos, and you're going to know a lot. But here, what's happened the first 2 years, right? The market went straight up. But pick any stock, you're going to make money. Now that the market's gone down and you never want to take that loss, guess what? They're stuck in their trade, right? It's one of those things where it's like they blow up. I rarely see a lot of people that were posting before. They just kind of disappeared. Hopefully they're learning, right? And just kind of like, okay, very humble because the market's gone nowhere, essentially within the last year, right? We're exactly where we were, give or take 9 months ago, right? So the market hasn't gone anywhere. A lot of stocks have gone sideways. And this is one of the reasons I enjoy short-term trading, right? It's just one of those things where put the time in, put the work in, seek mentors. It's amazing. I'm not going to lie. There are so many people that I've helped throughout the years I've taught. And I tell them, hey, here's my number. Give me a call anytime. And you'd be amazed how many people do not call and use that free service. I have a couple mentors, and trust me, I was picking their brains for years. Even to this day, I still speak with them. Call them, say hi, ask them questions. I'm always going to be a student of the market, but it's amazing how everybody thinks they know everything. And then when the markets humble them, they end up blowing up their accounts. Here's one thing that I'm kind of seeing happen right now, because the markets are really changing. Within the last month or two, I'm seeing a lot of very weird price action. I've been trying to figure out why the market's been acting the way it does. And one of them is because we're seeing like a lot of volatility, right? Which is great for day trading. But it's weird because it's not normal volatility like with the VIX, right? Where the VIX rises and you have these big swings. This is more volatility out of nowhere type of moves. And one of the things is they now have 0 days to expiration on S&P futures, NASDAQ, SPY, where every day these contracts expire worthless. And dude, you're seeing hundreds of thousands of contracts a day trade through these. I mean, we'll put it this way. You only had, what was it? Maybe 5 years ago, you might have had 18 million contracts a day throughout the entire market trade. Now, dude, you probably have a couple million just in the SPY, the Q, right? Of that in today's options that expire every single day. And the market makers have to hedge, right? Because they got to manage their risk, because there's no theta. So it becomes more gamma. And that's why you're seeing a lot of these really weird moves happen, I believe. And this is, listen, I don't care if you like it, you dislike it, it's part of the market, and we have to be able to adapt and change with it. The other thing that I'm seeing is a lot of these prop firms. Now, watch my video. I've passed one of the prop firm challenges, right, with Elite Trader, and it's I think they're good for new people. people with very small bankrolls, right? It's a good way to kind of play around and figure out the markets and do certain things. But I think they force regular people to trade way too big because you need to make 1,500, 2,000, 5,000, 6,000, 10,000, right? So people tend to trade way too big. Well, when you're learning, you should not be trading big, right? I tell people, trade on a demo, don't until you figure out a system, right? Don't lose real money while you're trying to learn a system. And then when you finally do learn that system, go trade one micro ES for a month or a couple months. And when you could win every single week or most weeks and then most months, then go to 2 micros, right? Maybe it might take you a year to get to 5 or 6 micros, right? Because one of the problems is people sit there and trade way too big. And when the market changes, like it's in a growing stage, right? Or a change stage right now, they tend to blow up their accounts. And it's crazy because I'll look at a lot of the data of people passing, right? These websites show, we have 5,000 traders, right? But yet they've only paid out $1 million or a couple $1 million. I'm like, okay, dude, that's horrible, right? That's not even $1,000 a person, right? If you really think and do the numbers, because what happens is people go YOLO, right? You only live once. I'm going all in and catch these big moves and pass. And then what they try and do the same thing with the live account, or they're like, okay, this is real money now. This is my potential make money. And then what happens is they're trading too big and the market changes, or they're wrong on a trade, and then they just start to overtrade. Next thing you know, they blow up their account, and then they got to start all over again. And the only people really getting rich are these prop firms. Now, with that being said, I think prop firms are great too, because you will go use somebody else's capital, but learn what to do. Okay, if you take anything away, right, put the time in, put the work in. I think I spent this past weekend maybe 7-8 hours watching videos. I'm always learning. I've actually been learning from ICT, Inner Circle. And it's kind of funny because the way he explains things is really good. And it's kind of like, it just gives me an edge now when I see divergence and I see these fair value gaps and I see the kickback of my divergence. I'm like, oh, wow, that's where it goes. My kickback is part of the fair value gap. And so now it's like it's a big piece of a puzzle that I'm like, oh, I can now add that into my own trading. So it's one of those things where put the time in, put the work in, and I think you guys will be successful. Just be patient and let the trades play out. Let me know if you guys like this format. Just where I talk and kind of give my info. I think I'm going to start doing this a lot more video wise and things like that. But as always, thank you so much for watching, and make sure you guys hit the like and subscribe. Check out my video course, links down below, or go to daytradingfearless.com. Until then, we'll talk to you soon.